showcasing Brett Veach and his big brain. The story of them talking about Patrick Mahomes, and how they found him. Go ahead, Colin.
Brett Veach was watching the left tackle from Texas Tech, and then was basically after a couple plays said, "Who the hell is this quarterback?" And then watched every single play from Patrick Mahomes' Texas Tech career. Is unbelievable.
And then there's a story allegedly that Andy Reid walked by his office and said, "What are you doing?" And Brett Veach said, "I'm watching the next quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs." Allegedly, from this one wormhole that Brett Veach went in, he knew that this was going to be the guy. You guys trade a future first to move up to 10 to draft Patrick Mahomes, and then obviously it all goes how it goes. Whenever you're making all these decisions and you're putting trust in Brett Veach and Andy Reid to kind of guide the football side of the Chiefs, are you expecting greatness immediately out of everybody? And through those hard times, did you wonder if we're ever going to get back on top? Was there ever any worry?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd been through a tough couple of years back in 2011, 2012. Actually only won 2 games in 2012. That was a very tough season, both on the field and off. And we were so blessed to be able to bring Andy Reid to Kansas City. And I knew he was the type of coach that we needed. We needed an experienced coach, somebody who'd been there and done it, somebody with tremendous attention to detail and an ability to really connect with his players. And all Andy does is come in and we win 9 straight games, right? Basically the same team that only won 2 the year before. And that just shows you the immediate impact that he had on our culture. And then you mentioned Brett Veach, who came with Andy from Philadelphia, did a fantastic job in our scouting department. Obviously, the fun story about him scouting and finding Patrick Mahomes. And I remember Andy telling me about, Brett would put a tape on his desk every week and say, "You've got to look at this tape." And it was a tape of Patrick, doing amazing things at Texas Tech. And eventually Andy was like, I got it. You're right. This guy's special. We got to figure out how to get him.
Yeah, I guess Andy Reid also said in there when Brett Veach, when they were together in Philadelphia, whenever he said something about a player, he was never wrong. And it's like that eye for talent is something that only a few people have. You seemingly got multiple people in that building, let alone your coordinators are all Hall of Famers as well. Run a good operation over there, boss. You should be incredibly proud of it.
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to Brian's World. I am your host, the ambassador of Kansas City, Brian B. Shynin.
Shut up,
and
Brian.
Thank you for joining me on this week's episode. I am so blessed that you are here with me. I honestly mean that because you really could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me. Love and appreciate you for that. And I'm definitely going to make it worth your time. And make sure you tap in the Foolish Club Media. Shout out to my fam there. All the Chiefs podcasts are heating up, especially with Show and BK. Definitely got to tap into that every single week through Foolish Club Media. Subscribe, like, review, rate, all that stuff on Spotify, YouTube. Take note of that YouTube. And, of course, Apple Podcasts. And speaking of YouTube, man, make sure you tap into the B Shynin channel, my channel, Brian B. Shynin, on YouTube to check out every single episode of Brian's World, my hustle and shine in the morning content, mixes, beats, everything that I got going on. I got you right there at the B Shynin YouTube page. This week inside Brian's World, I'm going to give you a reaction to the Seahawks game. And look, man, I think we all tired of preseason now. Plus, the show The Kingdom, I haven't been able to check out every episode yet, but we'll dive into all things Chiefs with that. I want to talk about how Drake could fix his situation. A lot of people would claim that I'm some sort of Aubrey Drake Graham hater. No, I'm a truth teller. I'm going to give Drake some real options as to how he can have a big comeback later on in his career. Also, David Justice, former Major League All-Star, former World Series champion, recently made some controversial comments about Halle Berry, about cooking and cleaning. I definitely had some thoughts about that. And then 20 years ago, my life changed forever. I can't wait to tell that story, another personal story, right here on a Brian's World podcast.
Yeah, this is a good place to get some of your young guys some reps here. They always have good crowds. And it's a great environment out here to see what you've got. And so a lot of these guys are battling to make the team, and we were able to get them in there so we can evaluate them. And I thought this game here, that was most important. The ones will get a little bit more time next week as we go forward, or on the Thursday game. So, but again, there are always some good things, but there's a lot of things we can learn from in here too.
The Chiefs fall to the Seahawks in preseason game number 2, which was an absolute snooze fest if you're a Chiefs fan. I'm going to be honest with you. It was some things to take away, though. And the first thing I want to talk about is Kingsley Sumatai. Now, a couple episodes ago, I talked about how I'm cheering for him. Well, you can see on tape now, some of his mechanics are not right when it comes to pass blocking. And that is a big problem in this offense this year. But on the run blocking end, he looks great. He looks as good as advertised. He looks like, okay, now I see why the Chiefs drafted him. Because on run blocking, he looks superb. Pass blocking, it was a couple plays that definitely had my eyebrows raised. One in particular, when I believe it was a stunt that the Seahawks had put on the Chiefs, and Kingsley just got ran over and put on his ass. And I'm thinking, like, Gardner Minshew, he eventually stepped out of that pressure and got away from it. But it's like, it's those type of plays that we cannot afford to have this year. And I think the leash is very short with Kingsley. Of course, they want him starting at left guard, but I'm just wondering, man, if that pass blocking becomes a problem, it becomes an issue with him stepping back and tripping Mahomes on a 3rd and 8, on a crucial 3rd and 8 on the road in Denver or something like that. And Mahomes gets left side pressure from his blind side because Kingsley, he's getting bull rushed by somebody, or he can't handle a stunt, with Benito coming on the inside or something from Denver, and then Patrick gets sacked. And now we got to punt the ball. It's a turnover or something. Like, it's just those scenarios that I'm thinking about. I'm like, man, it's the same story. It's the same Achilles heel. Again, the run blocking looks great, but that pass blocking needs major, major improvement. Another observation on the offensive line, Josh Simmons, he likes to grab. There was another play where Josh Simmons just completely bear hugs a guy. And thank God he did it, trying to, save your quarterback from getting absolutely just, slaughtered on the field. But, man, they're going to call that in the regular season. It was a clear hold that the refs did miss it. But he actually just, like, kind of bear hugged the guy. And I'm just wondering if he gets too handsy when it comes in the regular season, will that cost a player or two? Will that cost a driver or two? I don't know. Just some observations that I'm seeing from the preseason game against the Seahawks. Some good news. The Chiefs have to figure out a way to keep Robert Tonyan on his team.
He did some scrambling on that, and we told him after the play on the sideline, it's a great job listening to Coach Connor in training camp on the scramble rules. He was supposed to run he had a corner route, which is pretty obvious on that play, and then he just kind of saw what was happening, slipped back inside, and then Gardner made a heck of a throw. Being able to see that throw across his body, that's one of those ones as a quarterback coach, you're like, no, yes, that was great. But that was just him playing football. He's had a great camp.
And I, for one, think that he's definitely played his way into a roster spot. Now, 2 questions comes with that. One, do the Chiefs keep 4 tight ends? Which I don't know, man. I think you 6 receivers, 4 tight ends, that's already 10 spots to just 2 position groups. Of course, you're going to have 2 quarterbacks. You're going to have maybe 4 to 5 running backs / fullbacks. And so we only got 53 men on the roster that we could keep. So I'll be interested to see if they keep Wiley, if they, try and put him on the practice squad, if they can do that. But I'm pretty sure the time that if they were to cut Wiley, then some team will pick him up immediately. I'm sure they would. So keeping Robert Tonyan instead of Wally would definitely be a big gamble. And I don't know, Tonyan has played better than Wally up to this point, at least in the preseason, man. Tonyan looks good. Tonyan looks so good that he could be competing with Noah Gray for tight end number 2. I know realistically he's probably not. But that's just how he looks athletic. He looks fast. He got hands. He was able to break free in the red zone and get a touchdown for Minshew. And speaking of Gardner Minshew, he had me thinking, because in the preseason games that he's been in, he's looked mobile. But could he be the best backup that Patrick Mahomes ever had? Well, we got Matt Moore. We got, he was decent. He was cool. He was pretty good. And then you probably got the best backup that Mahomes has had in Chad Henne for, 2 or 3 years. And then you had Blaine Gabbert, who did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. He came here, got a ring, and did nothing for it. Like, congratulations to him. And then Carson Wentz, definitely hands down the worst backup Patrick has had. But Gardner Minshew, man, I think the second worst out of that is probably... The second worst is Blaine Gabbert, because he didn't look good in the preseason when I saw him. I was concerned in 23 when he was the backup. But Carson Wentz was a train wreck whenever he got on the field. He was terrible. He was awful. So it's really, to me, between Chad Henne and Gardner Minshew. And I think Gardner Minshew has the capability of being the best backup that Patrick has had. Like, I actually feel comfortable, knock on wood, if something were to happen to Patrick and Gardner Minshew had to come in and play significant snaps, or he had to come fill in for 2 or 3 games or something like that, I would feel comfortable, I think, at this point, with Gardner Minshew being the quarterback of this team. Just for 2 or 3 games, let's be clear, just for those games. Maybe the Chiefs can escape with just 1 loss, maybe a 2-1 record or something like that. I don't know. But I think the team could handle winning with Gardner Minshew being the quarterback if something were to happen to 15. Something else I noticed with the preseason is that this is looking to be a great rookie class for the Chiefs. We talked about Josh Simmons already. Of course, he still has work to do. He has development to do. But so far, so good with him, though. He looks good. Other notable rookies, though, Noah Williams. Like, basically the whole class. I was just gonna name off the whole class, but you see these guys making plays. You see Omar Norman Lott in the first game was making plays. You saw Noah Williams this past game making plays. You saw some good runs from Bashar Smith. And then you saw Bossa going in and getting some good tackles. And when he got in with the backups against the Seahawks. So I think this is a great rookie class. I think it's very promising, just based on the noticeable plays that they're making in the preseason. More roster questions. Are we sure that Joshua Williams is making this roster?
Lord have mercy.
Because I'm not completely sure at all if he's going to be in here. And I don't know why he's in Spags' doghouse or what's going on with him. But for sure, Noah Williams is above him on the depth chart. We know Watson is above him, and McDuffie for sure are. So I don't. Joshua Williams just seems like he got all the size in the world.
Pause.
I think 6'3", almost 6'4", something like that.
That was crazy.
He's made some plays. He's made some plays here and there for this team since he was drafted. But I want to know why he's in Spags' doghouse and why I feel like he's on the cusp of not making the team. Just like King Felix. Like, they're putting him on IR now. So his 2025 is done. I wonder about the future of him. Still, of course, like, in Spags we trust, in Veach we trust. There are going to be a couple picks here and there that may not, be your best picks. And I don't know, one thing about Veach, man, them DN picks, man, ooh. Karlaftis has been the best one. But, man, like Mike Dana, King Felix, right now is looking, George Karlaftis is a good one. But you got Breland Speaks.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
Man, yikes. So, yeah, man, we might be better off signing free agent defensive ends than, trying to draft them in the first or second round, man, because the more that this King Felix situation plays out, and I've just been feeling like this probably ever since we drafted him, it was more of a celebratory pick for the Kansas City. I feel like at this point. You think about it. It was the last pick of the first round in the 2023 draft. After the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, draft is in the town, draft the hometown kid from Kansas City, man. Why not? Make it a grand ending to a great night and day one of the draft in Kansas City. And they did it. It was a feel-good story. It's been cool. He made a play or two in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. But it's like, man, we ain't really seen nothing from King Felix. And I still got, a faith in the guy. I know that he can perform. Of course, and none of us really knows what's really going on. Maybe he's not getting the playbook. Maybe the physicality isn't there. Man, who knows? We have no clue. But now, with the state that we're in now, and this is year 3 for King Felix, and with little to no production, you just got to wonder about the future of him in the Chiefs uniform. And then the Rashee Rice news. It really gets more complicated because nothing is resolved. All we know now is that the NFL really wanted to punish him bad.
The expectation is Rashee Rice is going to be suspended for a portion of the 2025 season. The question now is how much? My understanding is the NFL initially proposed a lengthy suspension, double-digit games for Rashee Rice. The Players Union and Rashee Rice's attorney and agents argued for a much shorter suspension, in part because there is no precedent for suspending someone for over half the season in a case like this. So as you mentioned, there is a September 30th hearing set before former federal judge Sue L. Robinson, who previously heard the initial Deshaun Watson case several years ago here. But there is still a possibility that the sides could come together and agree to a settlement on a suspension that would allow Rice to be suspended at the start of the season. If not, then he would be eligible for at least those first 3 games. But given the fact that not only the decision-making process, but potential appeals could extend that process into October or November if it goes before Judge Robinson, this is something then that could potentially jeopardize his availability for the postseason. A lot to consider as this case moves forward.
Now there's this hearing or whatever on September 30th to negotiate, this suspension. And it's like, I'm thinking if I'm Rashee Rice, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm like, man, I really just want the number. I really want the plan in place so we can know what we're dealing with. Because if Rashee Rice misses 10 games in this season, it's like, first off, what part of the season are we talking about? Because now he's almost guaranteed to play the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, which are very crucial games for the Chiefs. So how do you let this thing play out? Because you can negotiate. Right now, the terms are you can negotiate, Rashee Rice can, the number of games he's suspended with the NFL. Do I take 10 now? Or do I go to this arbitration and then maybe it could go to 12? Or maybe a possibility it comes down to 6? Or maybe, it could get down to 4? I don't know. But my thing is, if I'm the Chiefs and Rashee Rice, I want to know what the plan is, bruh. This has been lingering over our heads for, a year and a half now? This happened like March of 24. And it's like we still have no resolution between Rashee Rice and the stadiums. I'm exhausted with these things, man. Because these things, it seems like there's no end to it. And with the Rashee Rice thing, this directly affects what happens on the field with the Chiefs. Especially with the wide receiver core that we have now. So, the closer that this comes to an end, the better for the Chiefs, for the offense, for Mahomes, for us, because we got Rashee Rice fatigue. We really do. So I'm not finna go into how many games I think he's going to get or whatever. Nobody knows at this point, which is why we are here. And look, I'm ready for preseason to end. And maybe this is what the NFL wanted as we march on to what we have now, 17 games from 16. We're marching on to 18, and when we get to 20 games, preseason going to be done. And all the talk recently has been about teams having these joint practices, and which is fine, it's cool. I just, will these be open to the public? Will these be at the stadiums? Like, is training camp about to disappear as we know it? Probably so. So the NFL is, it's a forever changing and evolving thing, but it's really about to take a drastic move within the next 5 to 10 years coming up soon, because they about to get rid of preseason. And now, I used to be one to be like, nah, I'm a traditionalist. Preseason is necessary, which I really think the preseason is necessary for a lot of teams. Maybe not 3 games, maybe just, 2 games. As far as seeing talent on the field, seeing what you got to work with, making the right roster decisions with who you're going to cut and who you're going to keep. But the joint practices could, still do that and be a better product for the NFL and not have empty stadiums in preseason watching players really trying out for an NFL team when you can really do that in the joint practice. It's more controlled. It's a controlled environment. You get to work on specific things that you want as a coach and as an organization to see what your players do. So, but look, I'm just telling y'all what the future is. It's coming. It's coming. It is on the way. All of that, what I said, 20-game season, end of preseason, end of training camp, all of that stuff is on the way, bro. So, but I'll say again, I'm ready for preseason end. Thank God we only got one more game, because I'm just ready for the real thing to kick off. I'm ready just for meaningful football again to watch. And another thing is I want to watch the stars. I was just watching Bengals and Washington. And it's like when Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow's not on the field, I'm not interested in watching anymore, for real. So preseason football, you better watch it while you can, because it ain't going to be too many more of these games left. And one last thing before we dip out of the Chiefs conversation is I want to talk about The Kingdom real quick, the series that's on ESPN. I've only got to check out just a piece of episode 4, but of course I'm all the way locked and loaded. I already know what this is about to be, and people have given it A+ reviews. I've heard nothing but good things about it. But I just want to say, man, just being a Chiefs fan and my whole life and witnessing what we're seeing with the coverage of this team, with the attention that this team is getting. You just saw Kelsey, having Taylor Swift on his podcast this past week, and the numbers blew up. The album is the talk of pop culture, and now, a lot of the talk is Taylor Swift performing at the Super Bowl halftime show this year. And boy, can you imagine all the conspiracy theories
Come on now, dog.
going around the league this year, trying to think that, the NFL wants the Chiefs to the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift is doing a halftime show because they want Travis Kelce to go on top, blah, blah, blah. I can see it now, and it's going to be annoying, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Come on, man.
But just the coverage of this team, bro, and the attention that they're getting. Like, they're really trying to be the world's team. Damn America's team. Cowboys, you little bitty Dallas Cowboys, y'all can have that. The Chiefs are going for the globe.
We just saw it this week with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift on the New Heights podcast. They broke every single record in the world. Obviously, Taylor coming to your games and stuff like that. But Travis being as big as a star now as he is, I assume that you guys don't hate this and this is all good for business?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say how happy we are for their relationship. They're an amazing couple, and watching the two of them together is really special. And that podcast, seeing them side by side, talking about the relationship was absolutely amazing. It's been a whirlwind, I would say, for the organization over the last 2 years. Since Taylor literally stepped into our lives. She's done an amazing job unintentionally of increasing our female fan base. We used to be about a 50-50 ratio male to female fan base, and now 57% of our fans are female, which I think is probably the highest in the National Football League. So there's absolutely been a Taylor Swift effect, and I should say that my daughters couldn't be happier that we have her as part of the Chiefs kingdom now.
This is going to be a mission for Clark Hunt. This is his, I guess, version of the AFL. His father, Lamar Hunt, a groundbreaker, a trendsetter, creating the AFL, and I'm sure he wants to follow in his father's shoes, not only with the stadium situation here in Kansas City, but all around the globe. KC is the town, like Rich the Factor said.